Today we have Saira Shah Halim with KairaliNewsOnline.com. Welcome, ma'am.
Good evening to all the viewers of Kairali TV.
You came from a family which has the strong legacy of arts and military. How does it help to shape your political narrative?
Well, I think the background plays a big part in shaping one's individual journey. So my father has served in the Indian Army for 40 years. He retired as the Deputy Chief of the Indian Army. Later on, he became the Vice Chancellor of Aligarh Muslim University. I have a strong background of performing arts. My uncle Nasiruddin Shah, as you know, is a stalwart of the Indian cinema movement. And in the 70s, if you see, a lot of the parallel cinema movement showcase the divide between the haves and the have-nots. When you look at movies like Par and you look at other important films, those days the films reflected the lived authenticity, the lived struggles of the common man, and I think that is missing in Indian cinema today, that people are making films which are a little unrealistic. It doesn't really cater to the lived realities as of today. See, this didn't help me to enter politics. Your background doesn't help you to enter politics. You have to do a lot of work yourself for a political party to even approach you, right? So I've spent 17-18 years in the corporate sector in training development roles in some of the leading MNCs, and later on I started writing and was talking a lot about factors that govern India today, be it women's causes, be it for the causes of the disenfranchised, for the politically marginalized. And I was there in a lot of pivotal moments, and that's when the party approached me and they asked me to stand for the 2022 Baliganj by-election. And that's when I defeated the BJP and the Congress with an overwhelming margin. So if you look at it electorally, my political journey started in 2022. However, I've been part of many civil rights movement, be it the anti-CA NRC, be it the farmers' protests, be it the hijab ban. So I've voiced my concern on national TV. I've written about it extensively, and I think that is what is formidable, is that you have to do your own work and then a political party can approach you. So that is how it is. Of course, I have a legacy of the left movement. My father-in-law, Mr. Hashim Abdul Halim, who was the former Speaker of West Bengal Assembly, was one of the pioneers of the left freedom struggle. My husband does a lot of medical work with the medical team, in relief camps and everything in West Bengal. So the family plays a big role. So my in-laws' journey, my parents' side and everything, of course, shaped me to define my political ideology and the stance that I've taken in life.
As a prominent face of CPIM in West Bengal, how do you see the role of left to counter the current national political narrative?
So I think the left has always been a voice for the marginalized, the disenfranchised, the politically, of course, the weak also. And I think it's very important, whether it's something happening in Gaza or whether it's happening in Venezuela, the left has been very vocal about these issues with other political parties shy away from. So I think it's important for the left to keep amplifying the voice, for the farmers, whether it's for the gig workers, whether it's for the daily wage earners, whether it's for the working class, and expand that, the voice there, because I think what we need to do is keep doing that. However, at the same time, broaden the umbrella, as in, because India, we need to understand, is shaped by a lot of identity politics, caste politics, and CPIM earlier, the left parties were concentrating on the class, dynamics, and not really really included the caste aspect as well. So I think if the umbrella can be broadened and we can amplify our voices more for the other sections which have not been incorporated before, that would give a wider angle to the whole left discourse in the country.
Critics often say that left is still stuck in the past. But we know that in current scenario, left is the only powerful voice that stand against the injustice in both national and international level. How do you look the statement left is still stuck in the past while left is the only voice that rise against the oppression and injustice?
See, a lot of people accuse the left of being like caught in some kind of a time warp or caught in nostalgia where they're not really moving forward. But I feel it's important to carry the weight of the past, but at the same time, one can empower oneself by what you call renewing your promises towards the left ideology. That is by understanding what people want, because we need a new currency, we need a new dialogue, and making the left more aspirational. I think we need to be more active on social media. That is something that we have not really expanded much upon, though we do see a lot of campaign happening. The left has become active on the ground as well as social media, but social media is the new language of the left today. Today AI has taken over almost every industry, so it's very important for us to get young volunteers to kind of take hold of the reins of the party so that they can give a more positive impact, because people believe that left want people steeped in poverty. So I said nothing like that. It's like they are against the inequitable distribution of wealth. They're not against progress. They're not anti-industries or anti-progress, or if you're doing well in corporate life, why should a left kind of hinder your growth? The idea is about the inequality or the inequitable distribution of wealth. That is what kind of unsettles us. It is not about anyone progressing. I think that is one thing that needs to be made clear, that we are not anti-progress. We are just against anti-inequitable distribution of wealth, where probably a very small percentage hold the maximum wealth reserves in the country. That is what is a discerning part.
Okay, as you mentioned, social media plays a major role in politics nowadays because a lot of people consume news from social media, so it has a great role in people's life or shaping public opinion. How do you think that the role of political PR in shaping the political narrative?
I think it's important to have a good public image. So that PR is important, because why should we show a certain imagery of something that belonged in the past, that kind of had a communication back in the day, like 40 years ago. We need a new language that can resonate with the youth, that can resonate with the minorities and the other disenfranchised, that yes, the left is standing for you. Be it Brinda Karat, who was carrying a Supreme Court notice when there were these bulldozers that was raising these shops and other things in Jahangirpuri, or whether it is a young Aishi Ghosh or a young Shotarup, or anybody else who's standing for election, who are otherwise very humble and they are raring to go.
In an era of hyper-nationalism, the word patriotism is often misinterpreted. How do you define the word patriotism and the nationalism?
I think if these people, people from the right just understood what Rabindranath Tagore stood for, his ideas on nationalism, probably the right wing will brand him as an anti-national, because the ideas that he stood for resonate perfectly well with progressive states like Kerala, West Bengal, and so many others. So I think there's a very thin line between nationalism and patriotism. Nationalism is blind following of the state. Whatever the state is doing, whatever the government is doing, you think very good, without questioning the wrongs that happen in governance. And I think it's very important to speak truth to power and also critique your government when it's not doing something right, where it's a matter of civil liberties being taken away, where it's a matter of the human rights and dignity for all being taken away, whether it's political prisoners who are rotting in jail for the last 5 years. We need to ask very tough questions, and that is what the present government at the center is refusing to doing, especially a PM. He hasn't addressed a single press conference since the time he's taken over. And I think that's the unfortunate part, because you need to take accountability of your actions. If you're doing something good, the citizenry will say, kudos, job well done. However, when something is not happening, it's important for journalists, civil society, opposition to ask some very tough questions, from the center, and ensure that the work is being done. So I think that is something that we are missing out on, and that is something that we need to amplify our voices.
The relationship between center and state is becoming increasingly strained. That's why the center is not allocating sufficient funds for certain states like Kerala. How do you look this, and do you think that the center and state coordination is necessary for the development of the state?
Yeah, so I think the center makes a lot of money through the cess and surplus and all that, which is not really shared with states that have a different, state government. And I think that's the unfortunate part. And I think that will remain, because I think the most vindictive way that the center can avenge the state from is to cut down on funding where it's really needed, in health, in education, and so many different parameters. So I think the left can amplify the voice and ensure that there is at least equitable, they give the surcharges, and the cess, the cesspool is divided between, the other different federal states, other than just the center hogging it all. And I think if we can amplify our voices for the, cess and other charges, they can be an equitable sharing of resources, which is not happening as of now. And I think we can really do a lot more in amplifying our voices for that.
Okay, we know that the central government is censoring everything, films, the powerful voice of the writers, but here the Kerala state is organizing a book festival in order to heard the voices of unheard and in order to read the wide authors. How do you look the Kerala Legislative International Book Festival?
See, the Kerala Legislative International Book Festival is practicing democracy the way democracy should be practiced, by inviting a plethora of writers, authors to, talk about their work. And if you're going to cancel an author or cancel a book because you do not agree with what they're saying, it is not a democracy anymore. The idea of a democracy is whether you like a person's ideology or a thought or not. You have to be participative, or you have to encourage different kinds of voices, and that is what makes democracy so strong. So that is the reason today the left, which played a pivotal role in the democratic conscience of our country, and I feel it's being weakened today, is because we don't have enough strong left voices, in the Lok Sabha today. And I think that is the tragic part, and that is why we see a lot of draconian bills being passed, because nobody has the moral courage, aside the left, to stand up against these divisive laws that are being passed without the consent of the public, or without, even a veto of the other political parties.
Politics in India are often polarized and personal. How do you see the trolls and scrutiny arises in social media?
Think so. Trolls have been a part of my life, whether I was contesting the Lok Sabha last year from Kolkata South, whether it was the Baliganj by-poll, whether I'm saying something on national TV on the debates. They've been very seasoned, anchors who are totally like the BJP spokesperson, who I'm talking about. They kind of try to nullify your voice. They invite you on channels, but they put your volume down, or they are shrieking to an extent where your voice is not even heard. So trolling is part of the game. It's a very sad generation. Earlier, when you know that there was a divide, but we didn't know that it was to this extent, because there is a complete IT cell that functions, that kind of observes who's writing what, who is saying what, and their only job of the day is to troll you, say nasty things about you. But I think it's time that political parties talk about that, because understanding that women in politics anyway have a very, very challenging time. But it's important that AI is not misused to demoralize women, or to muzzle the voice of women who are politically active. So I think women parliamentarians, women leaders across party lines need to come to a consensus on this, that we might not like what she says, we might not like her ideology, but it's important for women to stand up with women. It's all about women supporting women, and I think that the women of India need to understand that when they protect the interests of a fellow political leader or a fellow political candidate, it's protecting oneself as well for any future attacks by trolls, or be it goons or whoever they might be.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you.